and I'll be honest, right? Like I'm a pretty intense guy. Like I'm really passionate about the game and the players that I work with. And my approach had to change the last 2 years, right? Like because I knew, like I fought to keep these rinks open, and Glacier's done an unbelievable job. Eric Schneider, like he's you walk into the rink and you feel the normalcy there, and like I tell players all the time, if you can get through these last 2 years. Like it was tough for me individually, right? Like because everything was like from a business standpoint, from like it's my job. I live to be a coach, right? Like I tell players all the time, if you got through these 2 years, you can get through anything. And that's the reality of it, right? Like um, because if I see a smile on a kid's face, that's what it's about. The last 2 years, right? Like you could have the worst day, and I'm sure you're the same way. Like you could, whether it's family, whether it's life, whether it's financial, whatever the case may be. And now putting yourself in a kid situation, whether you have a bad day at school, you walk in that rink, you walk in that locker room, you see your friends, everything's lifted off your shoulders, right? You walk on that ice, you forget everything that's going on for 60 minutes. And like that the hockey rink becomes a church for some people. It really does. Like just the culture, the families, the good families, the good kids. And that's what it's about.
Yep, completely agree there. It's weird. It's a way of living. It's a lifestyle for families and
It
parents
is a
and
lifestyle.
kids.
Yeah.
And that's where they go to meet all their close friends, family
Yeah.
friends, or even definitely obviously us teammates and players. We want to see our buddies every day. And we enjoy that, the hockey side and being on the ice, skating around, being active. Actual skill development side, even some consulting or education for them. Maybe it's a little bit of your beliefs within the skill development. It can, very generalized question, but is there any little areas that you'd like to go into?
I think from the coaching standpoint, right? Like unless you have a hockey rink in your backyard or your basement, right? Like I spend a majority of time on skating, right? Because that's the most important part of the game right now, right? Like if you can't skate, like whether you're on inside edges, transitions, pivots, whatever, um, it's going to be tough to play at the highest level, especially now, right? Like because I like going back to what we talked about, a few minutes ago. The game of hockey is getting faster. You watch a guy like Nathan McKinnon and Connor McDavid. You always go back to the same guys. Like that's what separates those guys, right? Yeah, like guys in NHL, guys in the AHL, they're all skilled, right? Like it's what separates those guys from the next is their skating, right? Like so I'm a huge believer that coaches need to utilize their ice time on skating, right? Like you don't need ice to work on shooting or stick handling, right? Or passing. Like you can do all that stuff off the ice, right? So when you're on the ice, just keep your kids moving and put them in an environment where it's almost like a competition, right? Getting them out of their comfort zones. So if you're going to run a skating drill, have two or three kids do the same drill at the same time and maybe see who can finish first. Right now, you have to pay attention to details, of course, and you have to make the corrections along the way. But the only way you get kids out of their comfort zones now is by competing one another. You know what I mean? Like you can blow a whistle and have the kids skate up and down the length of the ice all day long. Are they going to be going 100%? Probably not. But if you have them competing against another guy or another girl, that's when you see the true colors come out, right? Like, and that's when you see the kids that want to compete and the kids that want to get better and the kids that want to be the best, right? Like, you can't hide that. And I think that from me, from a development standpoint, everything falls back on skating, right?
Yeah, yeah. I believe your same belief. The philosophy of doing the shooting stuff off the ice, stick handling off the ice, that can all be done off the ice, whether it's with a coach or by yourself, right? And it just takes time and the want to do it and the effort. Where on the ice, like I said, it's very short here, especially locally. In my belief, we're at least 2 or 3 sheets short of ice. I'd say even like maybe like 5 to 7, with all the youth hockey, with the men's league hockey going on, and the different municipality programs. They're all packed all right throughout the day for the most part. There might be a little bit of chunk ice when they're at school, but who's taking their kids out of school? I don't find that being correct also. So yeah, just kind of educating the parents for sure on that end. And then especially even some of these, passing along some of the perspective to these youth coaches, is why have them work on shooting here when you can do it off ice, and you should be skating, whether it's technique, whether it's some speed over speed, and that side of it, because you got to use the ice efficiently.
For sure.
Um,
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
yeah.